elected sheriff, what would you keep the same and what would you change regarding policies and procedures, including the financial side of the department?
Well, I think it's premature for me to try to dissect the policies and procedures when I haven't been privy to actually see what the policies and procedures are. I'll do a thorough review of every policy and procedure to see what's fair and equal to every person out there and to the citizens. And I didn't hear the second part of your question.
And I said, and what would you change, including the financial side of the department?
There's a lot of things I think you can tweak with the budget, but again, I don't know if any of you folks have tried to do a public records request to see the budget. It's 2 sheets of paper. You'll have to see a line item budget. I would not want to sit up here and speak of things that I can change if I don't know I can. I know I can work hard. I know I'll work hard at it. I've proven my fiscal responsibility in my businesses, and I'll bring that with me to the sheriff's office.
I have been an elected official before. I'm a former city commissioner and 2-term mayor of Fernandina Beach. I've overseen government budgets. I know what takes place during the budget process. Looking at line items, looking at areas where you can save money by combining resources, working with other agencies certainly is one issue that you can look at. But to make sure that our tax dollars are spent wisely and appropriately is very important. Very important to me as a taxpayer. It should be important to all of us. And I pledge to establish a Sheriff's Tax Watch Advisory Board to oversee the budget issues of the Sheriff's Department so we can assure that everything's being done properly. And again, having an outside agency come in, looking at the agency to determine what we need to look at in the future, that's very important. We need to know the facts. And until we do that, we don't know those facts and what to change.
To answer the first question about policies, the first thing I would change is around the first page in the policy manual, and that is at the discretion of the sheriff. At the discretion of the sheriff means that how he sees fit, he can discipline whoever he wants, how he wants. So the first thing I would do is change that to where everyone is held accountable for the same thing, no matter if you're a deputy or if you're the second person in charge. Everyone will be held accountable by just changing that one thing in the policy. Second thing on financial is I would try to list everything on a financial spreadsheet all the way down to what a paperclip costs or a box of paper clips. That way you can get a better look at your budget, just like I did with my construction. You look at the budget and you'll know before it gets too late what to change and how to keep your money to where it needs to be. And I will also combine jobs, which will help with the budget by making people do jobs that it's taking 2 people to do now, to where you can reduce it to 1 person. Will free up money to put more patrol deputies on the street to help y'all.
Okay, on the policy and procedure manual, I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, it's about 6 to 8 inches thick. It will take quite a bit to go over it. It will take quite a few people to go through it and dissect it. It covers everything from sheriff to corrections and in between. I've already talked to some people in civic organizations and within other sheriff's office to come in and help us as volunteers to go through this thing with a group from the sheriff's office that's already there, because they need the input from people that's already there. The second is the financial part. I've already spoke with some civic leaders that say they're willing to help us go in, some other government leaders that said they're willing to help us go line by line to see what's in that budget and see how we can present it to the public as a line item report instead of a 2-page report. Thank you.
So, Mr. Lieber, now I'm going to give you a hardball question here to see how many of y'all have done your homework. If you want to run for sheriff, you need to have done some investigative study on the budget in the sheriff's office. So, number 1, what is the budget for the sheriff? And what are the top 3 expenditures comprising the budget?
Say that again.
What is the current sheriff's annual budget? What are the top 3 expenditures comprising the budget?
The current budget is around $14.5 million. The sheriff has proposed on his upcoming budget to increase that slightly to up to about $14.7 million, around those figures. The top expense naturally is patrol. You have your jail expense, and you have expenses to secure the court. So, plus you have salary expenses, you have pension expenses, you have insurance. There's a lot of issues that you have when you're looking at the dollars that are spent by the sheriff's office. But
Thank you.
Pretty much what Mr. Leeper said. Same thing. The money-wise, it's a little over 14 million. It's around 14.7 right now. Law enforcement, which is the actual part of patrol deputies and so forth that you see on the road, is a little over $9 million. Then you have bailiffs, which is the courthouse, and actually the ones in the courthouse that actually supply the security to the whole courthouse that people do not realize comes from the sheriff's budget, is right at $1 million. And then you have the corrections department, which is owned by the county. At this time, it's ran by the sheriff's office, and it's around, I believe, $6 million, a little over $6 million. And once again, that comes out of the budget of the sheriff's money, and it's broken down into 3 parts by law. But the corrections is really owned by the county commissioners who contract the sheriff's office to run it for them.
There's not a whole lot to add to it. The budget is what it is. It's, 14.5 with a 2.9. I think the sheriff's asked for an increase. The 3 things covered by the budget are court system, the corrections, and the rest of it for regular law enforcement. That's all that's required by state statute. That's why he only submits a 2-page budget. However, each one of us is swore to give you a line item budget, and we will do it.
I actually had a conversation last week with the Nassau County Finance Director, and the budget was $15.3 million. There has been a request for a 5% increase that was submitted on June 1st when all budgets were due this year. And the top 3 expenses are in this order. They're personnel, operational costs, and insurance. And this is why I will be a good sheriff, folks. I don't need to bring outside agencies in to help me audit and do this. This is what I specialize in. I can make the budget work.
All right, I'm going to throw an easy one at you. I just want a quick answer, and we'll move on. Are you a member of the NRA, and if so, for how many years? Well, that's the Garland, sorry.
No, I'm not currently a member of the NRA, but I do have a concealed weapons permit, and being that I'm law enforcement, I still respect that everybody carry a firearm and follow the laws.
Thank you.
I am not a member of the NRA, but I do believe in self-protection and the right to bear arms. Thank you.
I'm the oddball. I am a member of the NRA, and I actually found out today that they gave me an A rating as a Second Amendment supporter.
I guess that's 2 oddballs up here. I'm also a member of the NRA, and certainly I believe in the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms.
Thank you. So, Steve, we're gonna start with you now on this next question, and it's pretty much it flows from this last question that we had. We all know that the United Nations is trying to now implement laws that control gun ownership throughout the world. It's been in the news here within the last couple of weeks. What would you be willing to do to defend the right against federal and international meddling of that right?
I already been asked that question. I'm going to stand by at the county line. and I will stop anyone who enters this county to violate, wants our residents to violate the Second Amendment. If anybody wants to take our arms, I will stand by with my men at the county line and stop them.
There you go.
I too will stand fast to defend your Second Amendment rights. I'm a very big fan of Sheriff Richard Mack. I don't know if all of you are familiar with who he is, but in 1996, he set precedent in our country when they tried to pass the Brady Bill. He fought the federal government, and the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that state sovereignty actually trickles down into the sheriff's level of jurisdiction. As the sheriff, you have the right to protect your people via the Constitution, and you can keep the feds out of your backyard as long as you have the backbone to do it.
I think we all up here agree that what we would do, but certainly I would investigate anyone who tries to go against our Constitution. It's un-American to do that, and the sheriff needs to stand up for their residents, need to stand up for their county, and I'm one who would do that to make sure that our rights are protected and we are free from federal government intrusion into our lives.
Well, the Constitution does say we have a right to bear arms. That's all I need to hear. And as top law person in the county is what the law says. The sheriff is the main law enforcement officer within the county. The law says that if I was sheriff, I can tell you to get out of my county and you have to get or I'll put you in jail. So I would order all my people to the borders and tell them if they come over here to try to take our guns, you get them out, whatever you see and however you see me fit.